Hey, what's up guys, TheJordude here, back again with another Shadowverse video. It's been a while since I did one of these videos, but today is going to be a TheJordude's Picks video, where I talk about a few cards from the upcoming expansion that I think are going to be really good in the upcoming meta, or interesting, and I'm interested in seeing how the card does when it gets released. So I'm just going to go over 5 cards that I think are pretty good. Going over the set, there's actually quite a lot of good cards that I would like to talk about, but for the sake of the length of the video, I will just stick to 5 cards. So the first one I want to talk about is Metera Peerless Shot. It's a Forest Craft gold card for play point 4/3. Clash, draw a card, so that's pretty good, but when you evolve her, you get to deal X damage to an enemy follower. X equals the number of cards in your hand. So Metera is actually really good for a deck if you're going to build like a mid-range Forest, because it gives Forest like a really solid evil. Before, Forest didn't really have that many good evil effects. So Metera, you're probably drawing at least 2 cards because you clash and you get to evolve over something, so you get the uptrade. So you draw a card, and then when they want to deal with it, they attack a follower in, so you gotta draw another card. So you, on average, I would say you go +1. Also, the evolve effect. Because Forest, as you know, you're always getting a lot of cards in your hand. Either they are fairies, or from Korra you're going to get fills. So you're going to have good amount of hand size. So you should be able to deal with a lot of mid-game threats, or maybe even big late-game threats with the evolve. So Metera, I think, is a really powerful card for a deck like mid-range Forest. I think mid-range Forest could possibly see some play with Korra coming out. And it also gives support with Glenn. So basically you're just going to be playing mid-game, kind of grinding out your opponent, playing a bunch of cards, having combos out through that. So I think mid-range Forest is possible, but we'll see how it is. To me, I think it's starting to look like a tier 2 deck compared to what the other decks I possibly see coming out. But we're going to have to see how mid-range Forest develops. But definitely Metera, I think, is a really good card. Looking at it as a vacuum. Next I want to talk about is a Runecraft Legendary, Alumara Maya Mystic Seer, 6 play point 5/5. The Fanfare gives you a passive effect that lasts for the rest of the game, and basically when you are if you have 6 cards or more, it spell boosts the cards in your hand. So if you're playing like a Chimera type of deck, then just every turn you're getting a spell boost for free, so that's pretty good. But if you have 5 cards or less in your hand, you draw cards until you have 6, so it's kind of like a Deus Ex Machina like effect. So I think this card is really powerful because it's really flexible, and I'm not too sure how Runecraft is going to go, which direction Runecraft is going to go. Is it going to go towards more of a Chimera build, because they also have the Despondent Chimera now, as well as Giant Chimera? Or will they be going towards like some kind of burn aggro dirt rune, which dumps your hand quickly so that you could refill them and you just draw a bunch of cards with this passive effect? So it's interesting to see. Personally, I think more people will play Chimera. However, there are some really good Earth Sigil cards in this expansion, so I wouldn't just brush that off just yet. Next card I want to talk about is another legendary. It's Fairy Spirit Maiden for Shadowcraft, 2 play point 2/2, standard stats. But the Fanfare effect is really interesting because if it's the 10th turn or later, you get to perform a burial rite. Also to note that the condition is only 10 turns or later. You don't need necromancy or anything. However, you do need 2 cards in your hand to perform the burial rite, and when you do have the conditions met, you give all other followers the ability to attack 3 times until the end of the turn. So this card basically is replacing Ector as in the form of your finisher, like your endgame burst. Before, you were afraid of Ector because if they had followers on the board, Ector would just give them +2 attack and then you just die. But Fairy Spirit Maiden, I feel like, is an even more powerful finisher, because if you can meet the conditions, if you leave any, now when you're playing against Shadow, if you leave any follower up when it gets to the late game, like any kind of mid-sized threat, either if it's a mid-sized threat like 1 follower or maybe a couple of tokens, you're super afraid because you're only at you start the game at 20 life. If even like 1 skeleton all of a sudden becomes 3 damage, like a 2/2 all of a sudden becomes 6 damage, you're so afraid. Like Fairy Spirit Maiden, you probably play it for the condition when you're killing them, and I think if you have any follower or two on your board, you're most of the time killing them because you're assuming you're doing some damage earlier in the game. So Fairy Spirit Maiden I think is a really interesting card. At worst it's a 2 play point 2/2, so that's still not bad. But it gives you the potential to just completely burst your opponent down if they don't respect your board. So I'm really interested in seeing how Fairy Spirit Maiden affects Shadowcraft, because they got some decent mid-range cards. Mordecai Eternal Duelist is more for the reanimate deck, but we'll see how things goes with that. But yeah, definitely interested in seeing Shadow making a comeback in the format, because it's been kind of dead for a while now. I'm talking about a lot of legendaries, but that's just because Shadowverse makes legendary so powerful that it affects decks a lot. So we're talking about another legendary card, Silva Ardent Sniper. So this is your Portalcraft legendary, 7 play point 6/5, not very good stats, and it only has ambush when you play it at full cost. So most of the time you're just playing it for the accelerate effect, the new mechanic that Brigade of the Sky is bringing in. So accelerate 3. You get to play a follower that's 3 play points or less in your hand and give it rush. So that's already pretty good. And it gives your leader the passive effect that lasts the rest of the game. So every time your follower attacks, you deal 1 damage to your leader. And this effect, as I believe, is stackable. So if you just play like 3 Silvas, then basically when you attack, you're doing 3 damage to your opponent's face for free, which is really nice. So Artifact Portalcraft kind of fell down the tier a little bit. I do think it's still a very good deck, but this card definitely is supporting artifacts. There's also some more artifact support cards, such as a 1 play point amulet that tutors out an artifact for you. But basically, yeah, artifacts getting more support. Silva I think is a pretty decent card. You're getting free chip damage in. Sometimes when I'm playing artifacts, I feel like I could rush all my artifacts and clear my opponent's board, but sometimes I can't kill them, especially when I don't draw my Sephiroth. So with Silva, if they're stacking, or even if you just play for ambush for a late game where your opponent can't deal with it to get the damage in, I think the chip damage could matter a lot. So really interested in seeing how Silva is. I don't think it might not be that good when it actually gets released, but for now it looks pretty good. So that's why it's an interesting card for me. I actually skipped over Haven. So the last card we're going to talk about pretty briefly is Themis Purge from Havencraft. Is a gold 8 play point spell. Banish all followers. Very simple card. Very similar to Themis Decree, which is 6 play point destroy all followers. This one gets to banish all followers. So I think Control Haven could see some play. This card is very powerful, obviously. We definitely know how good Lightning Blast was when it was pre-nerfed at 10 play point enhanced. However, this does banish your own board, but it doesn't banish amulets. So we have been seeing like Tenko Shrine Havens doing pretty well recently. So I think it's possible that we might see things like a Control Haven that's focused around healing and Tenko Shrine to come up, and then Themis Purge being in the deck. Themis Purge probably played in most Haven decks anyways, just because it's good removal. Maybe not a 3 of, maybe a 2 of, because it is expensive. Thankfully, Aegis is gone, but definitely Themis Purge, a very powerful card that's Haven's gaining in this expansion. So yeah, those are the 5 cards I wanted to talk about today in this video. Can't do more because the expansion is going to be out in a couple of days. But really excited for Brigade of the Sky. I think it's a really nice expansion. And yeah, I'm excited for it. GranBlue is great. Obviously, I did play GranBlue a little bit for myself at some point. And I hope you guys enjoy the expansion when it comes out. Let me know in the comments down below which cards you're excited about and what decks you're excited to play with the new expansion. Like the video if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace. 望んでも叶わない明日があると